Hello, Lottie. Here comes 100 years of bad luck.
Who is it? Paul, that better be you. Found it.
Yeah, I know.
It's a good job.
Let's meet the house and let's go game button going on here.
Step on my heels. Yeah, don't forget to wear your feet this time.
Located near Yarmouth, Nova Scotia, Churchill Mansion was built as a summer home by legendary seaman and shipbuilder Aaron Flint Churchill in the 1890s. For the past couple of decades, Churchill Mansion has been an historic inn, during which time it has gained a reputation as one of Nova Scotia's most haunted locations. This made it the perfect place for Holly and I to spend a couple of nights in November 2008. Upon our arrival, we were given a tour of the mansion by the owner, Bob Benson.
Welcome to Churchill Mansion.
Thank you.
Thanks.
I'm going to show you some of our proper rooms, our guest rooms, starting with room number 1, which you've probably heard in some of the history of Churchill Mansion.
That would be Lottie's room, yes?
That's Lottie's room, yes. That's Lottie's room. Lottie may be here this evening. We don't
Maybe
know.
here.
Some of our guests have quite experiences with Lottie.
Should we knock?
Well, I think she probably knows we're coming.
Oh, good.
But this is it. That's a queen bed and a double bed.
It's nice.
They tell us that Lottie's over here in the corner, but
Over there.
I don't see her, but some do.
Do you see her, Paul?
No, I don't see her. But
Well-
people have seen her in their dreams,
Yes, that's
apparently, in
right.
here. Is that true?
A lot of dreams here, and a lot of stories. Like one lady had dreams of a baby crying, the sound of a baby all evening, and told me about it in the morning. But and several have bad feelings about the dressing room.
The dressing room.
Yes,
the,
which was the dressing room,
the
I should say, the bathroom. And Lottie may have protected herself, stabbed a servant. We're not sure just exactly what took place there.
She
but
stabbed someone?
that's what we're told.
Enjoy.
But we don't
This room
tell.
is yours.
We don't
Thank
tell
you.
all our guests that.
Yeah,
you know.
no, I can see
If
that.
you ask for it,
Yeah,
and
no,
he does.
no.
Is there any chance I can get a non-haunted room or no? I guess there's
They're
another.
scarce.
There's
They're
another.
scarce.
There's another room that's supposed to be particularly haunted. Aaron
Yes,
Churchill's
that's
room,
right,
which is the
yes.
one I'm getting.
We can show you that.
lead us on to
Okay,
that one?
we'll go to that one.
This one's all yours, though.
Yeah, thank you for that. Thank you.
We'll go down and have a look at Aaron's room. It's another option that you might like.
This is my room. Yes.
Oh,
Not
yes,
haunted.
that's right. Aaron's room.
It's not haunted, right?
Well, I don't know. The ladies seem to like Aaron's room very
Good
much.
luck with that, Paul.
And Aaron,
I'm staying in this room. How did the men do in here?
well, I don't know. Not as well as the ladies. So we're told.
That's unfortunate. So Aaron Churchill, this was originally his room.
This was originally his room, yes.
And what's the story, bit of the story behind this room?
A lot of the ladies do seem to sleep very well. Some have dreams about Aaron, I guess, apparently.
Ooh, kind of
And,
dreams.
Well, I'm not sure, but a variety.
Of her.
But they all seem to be very happy.
And do people report having felt his presence in this room when they're here, or?
Oh, yes, some do. Some do. It depends on what's in your mind, perhaps.
What's in your mind, Paul?
What's in my mind are those velour pillows and everything. This is the honeymoon suite now.
This is the honeymoon
folks, right?
suite. That's right. There's a balcony through the
Ooh,
door
nice.
here.
And the jacuzzi tub, apparently.
Yes, that's right.
So I get the room with the people who have died, and you get the honeymoon suite.
You get the haunted bathroom, I get the jacuzzi tub. Proper thing. I finally made it to a honeymoon suite. Excellent. Although I've been to a honeymoon suite concert, but that's a different thing. So Bob, perhaps you could tell us a little bit about who Aaron Churchill was.
Aaron Churchill was born in Yarmouth and became very, very wealthy in cotton shipping and banking in Savannah, and came back and built this actual building as his summer cottage, in which he lived 6 weeks a year, some years, until 1920, at which time he died. And then the mansion was vacant for many years after that.
We were just in Lottie's room. Lottie was Aaron Churchill's niece.
And perhaps his daughter. She was known as his daughter, traveled with him as his daughter.
Yeah, well, I guess
Okay.
that's it. We're just going to hang out here,
All right.
plan the rest of our evening.
Very good.
Our strategy, as it were.
All right.
But thanks for showing us Aaron's room and Lottie's room. These would be the two sort of most haunted rooms.
That's correct. Mm-hmm.
All right,
consider, yes, most haunted. If you have any questions, come down and we'll talk about it.
After we finished our tour of the inn with Bob, Paul and I sat down to map out the game plan for our 2 nights of ghost investigating at the mansion.
We'll use our trusty tape recorders to try and find audio phenomena.
And set up DVRs.
And the DVRs.
Where do you want
We'll
to set up DVRs?
My room, which was Aaron's room. Lottie's room, which is your room.
Maybe the hallway.
The hallway would be good, and I don't know, we'll find one other place to set it up. Maybe downstairs somewhere.
By the picture, perhaps?
By the picture. Sounds good to me.
All right.
All right,
So,
let's
first
do
things
it.
first.
Yes. What?
Let's go to the honeymoon suite, man. Come on.
Oh.
We set up our DVR cameras in several different areas and then headed down to the living room to interview Karen McGill, who worked at the mansion and had done a lot of historical research on the location. As she was telling us about a number of strange noises that had been reported at the mansion, we heard a door slam from a nearby empty room.
Okay, I'm sorry, but what is that noise over there? Okay, that's like where I'm talking about this happening.
Is it not you playing with your feet on the cover?
I know, but I'm talking about like I could hear it come through that door.
Yeah, but the door was closed, wasn't it? Mm-hmm. And now it's open.
Karen was quite disturbed by what had happened, particularly the timing of it, and she asked if we could take a break and continue the interview later. So we brought Bob Benson in to discuss the tragic life of Aaron Churchill's niece Lottie, whom he raised as his own daughter.
Lottie may have stabbed a couple of people throughout her life. One was here at Churchill Mansion, and maybe a male servant, and maybe he deserved being stabbed. That was picked up on, or has been at different times, by different psychics, as well as maybe a bit of history bears that out also. In Savannah, Georgia, supposedly she stabbed a maid in the house in Savannah. And that's documented in Savannah and recorded in a ghost publication of how she had murdered a person there. So all of this added to a very confusing life for Lottie or Lotta. And she did eventually have a breakdown and was put in Belmont Hospital, a psychiatric hospital in the Boston area. It became a way of life for her completely, as far as we can tell. And actually then they bought her another mansion that she was living in, and I think the hospital looked after her at this hospital, this mansion on Cape Cod. So she had the very best of things in that regard, but not the very best as far as her family existence in her life.
The spirit of the place is really strong, so whether that's just because they're here and they're thinking about the story, and the story of Lottie is so emotional that, you know, it affects people deeply, and that may be part of the reason of what's causing these strong dreams. All the dreams are different. There's not usually a pattern to them. Each one seems to have a completely different message.
When Ghost Cases returns, Holly and I continue our investigation of Churchill Mansion. Holly and I continue our investigation of Churchill Mansion.
After the interview with Karen, Paul and I decided to call it a night. I tried to fall asleep, but I had an overwhelming feeling that there was someone else in the room with me. It was so strong, and it made me so uncomfortable that I needed to speak to Paul, and I could not wait until morning.
I'd never seen Holly quite so shaken before. She was almost on the verge of tears. We chatted for about half an hour and she finally fell asleep. I nodded off shortly thereafter, but the DVR cameras kept rolling and recorded what became a very strange and disturbing evening.
Throughout the entire evening, the cameras recorded one of the most restless nights I have ever experienced.
Holly wasn't the only one who found Lottie's room uncomfortable. Shortly after I fell asleep, I was suddenly woken up by a very intense chill. I had been lying on top of the blankets, but I quickly pulled them over me.
Meanwhile, as Paul and I were trying to get a decent night's sleep in Lottie's room, our DVR camera in the hallway picked up the door to one of our crew members' rooms opening and closing with no explanation. Back in Lottie's room, I was still having trouble sleeping. I remember feeling cold and trying to pull the blankets up around me and roll over, but found them weighted down around me. It was almost as if there was a person in the bed next to me. Now, if you look closely, it appears as if there is an unusual indentation, almost as if there is someone lying there. It was almost as if I knew something was wrong, because shortly afterwards I woke up. I could definitely feel something or someone in the room with me. I had felt uneasy at Churchill Mansion when I first arrived, but sleeping in Lottie's room that first night made it even worse. I felt as if I was being watched, often from the corner where Lottie had been seen, and it was not a pleasant experience. I eventually managed to get back to sleep, but I continued to have strange and disturbing dreams about Aaron and Lottie Churchill.
Holly and I woke up the next morning to discover that a snowstorm had hit the area overnight. We had to make a quick trip into Yarmouth for some food, and during the slow drive over the icy roads, Holly told me about the dream she had experienced.
So you had a weird dream about Lottie last night?
I had a number of dreams about Lottie last night, actually. Actually, I think you were there for one of them.
What, in the dream?
Yeah.
What was it doing?
Well, we were in the room. We were, I don't know. It's pretty strange.
Yeah. Oh, we're almost there.
When we got back to Churchill Mansion, Holly went upstairs to check on her email, while I decided to follow up on what had happened the night before with a little experiment of my own. I wanted to make use of the photo of Lottie that was hanging in the living room, which Bob had informed us was never moved, because to do so would inevitably lead to strange things happening.
Yeah, Lottie's picture came into the house one August afternoon, and immediately after that, for the next 3 days, and those were the years when tourism was great and we were booked full in advance, we had cancellations straight for 3 days. And I said, the only thing that's changed is Lottie's picture is here. I had the staff take her down, put that picture away, and everything resumed. 6 weeks later, I gave Lottie a talking to. We put her back on the wall. That's where she remains. We tried to move her at one point, and the same thing happened again as far as cancellations. So she's happy in that one corner. The energy from that picture, if you should go there with a divining rod, the energy from that picture is very, very obvious. Much more so than the other picture hanging on any wall in the entire mansion. Explain it, I can't, but it's there.
Hello, Lottie. Here comes 100 years of bad luck.
Who is it? Paul, that better be you.
Hi, Holly.
Hello, Paul Lottie.
Pilates. I could do some Pilates. So here we have the 100 Years of Bad Luck for Paul and one night of spookiness for Paul and Holly.
You're bringing Lottie in here.
I'm bringing Lottie's, well, Lottie may already be in here.
No,
but
she is.
Bringing her picture in here
Yep.
to leave as sort of an object that may inspire Lottie, if she isn't here, to do whatever Lottie does. And is that a new chair?
Yeah, that's the haunted rocking chair.
You got a haunted rocking chair?
I do. It rocks by itself, apparently. They had to take it out of here because it was scaring the guests, and they put it up in the attic. But for me, they've brought it back down.
Guess what I've got?
Jacuzzi?
Yes, I have one of those, and I also have a haunted key.
The key to the den?
That's right,
The den that no one was allowed to enter?
apparently.
Ah, where are we putting this?
The Widow's Walk, upstairs.
Why?
I don't know. It seems that's where Lottie or other women would have waited to see if their sailor captain sort of people would have come back in. So it might be a place of high energy. And even if it's not a place of high energy, it's really cool and spooky looking. So,
Good science.
Yes,
All
well.
right, get out of my room. Let's go.
all right, fine. See you later, Lottie. Enjoy.
Oh, I'll be back. Actually, my room, Lottie's room.
All right, to the Widow's Walk.
Watch your head. Oh, this is nice.
Many people have gone up to the Widow's Walk. They have not felt comfortable going up the stairs or when they've got there, and almost to the point there was a real force when they got to the top. I have a really good friend that has hardly ever come in the front door because she does not feel comfortable coming over the area where there may have been a murder committed, out of Aaron's or Lottie's room, I should say.
All right, so the deal with this key, is apparently it's never, ever left the property. Well, this isn't marking so well. People have actually thought that they've left with it, and then apologized, said they would return it,
Yeah.
and then Bob's gone out and found it in the grass somewhere.
I think that's probably good enough. We know where it is, so there we are. We've marked it with white chalk.
Jug.
Let's see for a sec.
What you doing?
And just
I could see that.
so if it's gone tomorrow when we come back up here, or later today rather,
Yeah.
then something may have happened, and we've got a camera right here monitoring this room. So if anybody comes in here, if Holly or I or somebody else were to come in here and try and sneak move it, that camera's going to pick it up. So if that thing gets moved, the only thing that could have moved it would be something paranormal. So we'll check tomorrow. All right.
Really?
When Ghost Cases returns, Holly and I conclude our investigation of Churchill Mansion.
But I find it strange you don't feel anything.
Holly and I continue our investigation of Churchill Mansion in Yarmouth, Nova Scotia.
After Paul and I finished placing the key in the Widow's Walk, I tracked down Bob and asked if I could have a chat with him about Lottie's room. I was still thinking about what I had experienced the night before, and I was having trouble coming to grips with a very profound feeling of sadness. People have commented and said that they felt Lottie, they felt her presence, they felt a weight in their room. Have they commented on the emotion attached to that? Is there an emotion, or is it just more of an energy?
I don't know if there's any particular emotion. I don't. I think maybe you may hear different opinions of that too from different people. I don't think, other than there seems to be always a sadness. I guess I forgot about that part. They do talk about Lottie being sad, there's a feeling there of sadness.
During our journey together, I've developed the greatest respect for Holly's emotional resiliency, often in the face of some very stressful situations. In fact, I've come to rely on it to bolster my own courage when facing the unknown. She's normally a rock, which is why I was very concerned about the way that Churchill Mansion seemed to be affecting her. More than once, off camera and away from the crew, she broke down in tears and told me that she had no idea why she was feeling the way that she did, but that something about the house was clearly overwhelming her. As she talked to Bob, Holly hid her emotions well, but as we began our investigation that night in Aaron's room, I felt that I had to try and lighten the mood and put her more at ease.
See, I'm still stuck on the one back in Lottie's room where I was going to tell you that she was there.
Really? That would have been cool if you'd told me when we were in Lottie's room.
See, now I think that's creepy.
What? What's creepy?
Well, because then you'd ask me how I know, and I don't.
Well, it's not creepy. How was that creepy that I'd ask her how you know? I wouldn't have asked how do you know. Actually, you know what? I did that. You don't know me very well. It's not what I would have asked at all. I wouldn't have said that at all. I would have just assumed, maybe you're nuts, or maybe you're not. But I would have just assumed that you're feeling something. I wouldn't say, how do you know? Because you prefaced it by saying, I'm feeling something. So.
But I find it strange you don't feel anything. Do you choose not to?
Well, maybe there's nothing to feel.
Potentially. There's always something to feel.
I feel hungry. Hungry for love. Must be the dead.
Okay.
We're
Paul, don't you see how creepy that is?
Absolutely. That's not going in the show. I just thought I'd give Nathan or Aaron or somebody a little chuckle out there. Somebody's got to be listening.
I'm listening. I could tell what Paul was doing, and I really appreciated it. It definitely helped me feel a bit more at ease. Nothing anomalous happened in Aaron's room, so we called it a night. I didn't feel nearly as uncomfortable in Lottie's room the second night. Now, partly because of Paul, but also partly because of Lottie herself. I felt like it was almost as if we understood each other somehow, and she was okay with me being there.
All was quiet on the second night. The next morning, Holly and I checked on the Widow's Walk, where we found the key in the exact same position that we had left it in the night before. As we packed up our gear after a very interesting couple of days and nights at Churchill Mansion, there was one thing I had left to do. So we're putting the picture back after a relatively uneventful night. Wait, Holly? Lottie wanted to say goodbye. Goodbye. Goodbye, Holly.
Bye, Lottie.
Goodbye, Holly.
Great, Paul.
There we go. Back she goes.
How do you know it was uneventful? It's my room. Well, no, it was her room, actually.
There she is.
Yep.
We didn't record anything at Churchill Mansion on either our audio or video equipment that we can definitively state was paranormal in nature. However, strange things, like the doors opening and closing without an explanation, definitely occurred. Most important to me is what Holly experienced. It was profound and powerful, and at times overwhelming. My faith in Holly's good judgment is so great that if she feels she encountered the spirit of Lottie Churchill, I believe her. As for Lottie herself, if she is still in Churchill Mansion, she isn't malevolent, just sad, confused, and lonely, much as she had been when she was still alive. All that Holly and I could do as we left was offer our hopes that someday she will finally find some peace.